Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today is the first drive of the new project car, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump in and take it for a spin. Okay guys, we are setting off onto the open road. Well, actually the roads aren't that open today. It's really busy. There are cyclists everywhere. But it is a Sunday and the weather is half decent, so I can't be too mad. So I thought what I'd try and do is explain the driving experience and describe some of the characteristics that I've noticed over the past week or so of owning this car. And I figured we'd start with probably the first thing that you notice when you drive this car, which is the turbo lag. Because in this car, it's almost a little comical. The turbo kicks in around 3,500 to 4,000 revs. So for quite a while, not much really happens. And then all of a sudden, you'll get this little kick as the turbo finally spools up. So we have a quiet piece of road up ahead of us. And I'll demonstrate that to you as soon as we pass this van and a horse. Clearly, luck is not on my side today. But I am one of those people that does slow down for horses, always. I know some people just fly by, that's not me. I always slow down. Okay, we're in third gear and we're doing 30 miles an hour. We're now way past the horse, so I'm going to put my foot down. And as you can hear, the turbo spools, it keeps going, and there is the pull. And now we're in fourth, and it builds up again. And the noise the car makes when it changes gear puts a smile on my face every time, because it takes me back to being 15 years old, which incidentally was around the time this car was brand new. And I would go to a place called Stockley Bypass every Friday and Saturday night without fail. It was a place where bikes and cars would meet and do loops of the two roundabouts that were underneath the bypass. I absolutely loved it. I went for years and years, and for whatever reason, where I grew up, performance Fords were really popular, especially Series 2 RS turbos. And as some of you will know, the Bailey's dump valve and an RS turbo are almost synonymous. And that sound, that whooshing sound, was the determining factor as to whether or not you had a cool car. So the fact that this makes a similar sound is just a gift that keeps on giving. And it almost becomes a little addictive because you can manipulate the car to do it. So whereas in my RS3 I occasionally manipulate the pops and bangs, in this I can manipulate the whooshing, which I'm just going to use that term, it seems appropriate. And it does, you know, I find myself constantly letting the turbo spool up and then letting off, and it's like, honestly, it's just such a great sound. It's sometimes the most simple things that impress us men or drivers. Oh. So I guess the next thing to talk about is the handling, because it's the thing that's probably surprised me the most since owning the car, because I didn't have any expectations around how good or bad the car would handle, but one thing that did cross my mind was, am I going to lose a bit of confidence in certain corners? You know, fortunately around here we have a lot of country lanes. We've got some really good driving routes that we can go down. And the road we're on now, for example, I'll often bring my RS3 down here when I'm taking my car around the block just to give it a bit of a run in. And some of these corners, if you know them well enough, you can approach them with speed. And I thought, okay, what's this going to be like in corners? Is it going to be a bit floaty? Is it going to feel unsafe? But actually the car is so well planted to the road. It has something to do with the fact that the car is lower. The tyres may be helping, but I'm not an expert on Goodyear. But the thing that I think does have a huge impact is the brakes. The brakes are not standard on this car. Now I don't know the detail in terms of whether the calipers have been upgraded, what the discs are, or what pads the car has, but I do know it has an upgraded brake servo and braided hoses. some of that will mean more to you than it does me, but what it means for me is that the brakes really help in corners, and for its age it just clings to the road. So if we jump back in for a minute and just talk about what it's like to drive the car from the inside. So I guess one of the things would be whether it feels dated in here or not, and actually in my opinion it doesn't feel very dated at all. I mean, of course some parts of the car are showing their age. You can probably hear there's a little bit of a row, you know, things have loosened up over the years, but the overall design I don't feel looks 20 years old. Of course you don't have certain things that modern Audis do, such as the virtual cockpit, but do you need them? I've rarely used the virtual cockpit in my car. You know, the additional features like the sat nav, etc., I always have it on the other screen, which this car does have. Of course it doesn't compare, but I have something at least. The seats make a huge difference on how dated this car feels, because they are so comfortable. Recaro absolutely nailed the design of these. They hug you in all of the right places. I'm 6'1" and I feel really comfortable in here, and I'm able to manipulate the chair into a really good driving position. The steering wheel, of course, is on the thin side. It wasn't very trendy to have thick steering wheels back in the day, and weirdly, although in modern Audis it's a flat bottom, this has flat sides. Interesting, but it works. And there's no fuss. There's a few buttons on the dashboard. I've got two predominant buttons, which is the hazards and ESP. That's about it. The rest is aircon controls and heated seats, and I like that. I like the fact there's no fuss in here. The other thing is, going back to the driving, this car, it allows you to drive in almost blissful ignorance, because this is definitely not setting any records for 0 to 60 times. I would describe this car as quick when moving. Because of the turbo lag I mentioned earlier, it picks up speed really well, but off the line, you know, it's not that quick. But actually it doesn't matter. You don't care about the fact that the car isn't that quick, because the overall driving experience almost outweighs how quick or slow the car feels, which is really nice for me, because, and I know, get the little violins out again, but in my RS3, whether I'm going out for a drive on my own, or I'm going to Waitrose or another shop, or I'm taking either one of my daughters out, usually my car will attract another driver that needs to reassure themselves that they have a quick car. And it doesn't matter what car they're in either, it's almost anything. From diesel BMWs to Golf Rs, there is always someone that thinks that I want to race them. And it just gets a bit boring after a while. I mean, of course, sometimes I bite, but most of the time I'm just like, I want to just go to the shop. In this, you can do that. No one really bats an eyelid. Of course, some people have noticed the car, given the fact it's bright yellow, and some people know what it is. So I've had a few people, you know, take me over or whatever, but it's like, I don't care. You crack on, I'm happy. And that, for me, is one of the real benefits of having this car. I sometimes struggle with these driving videos because I sometimes get a bit lost in the driving itself, and I lose my train of thought, and I forget what it was I was describing. But in a way, that's a really good thing. It speaks to how much fun this car is to drive, and I honestly, at the moment, have nothing bad to say about it. It's been nothing but a positive experience so far. A few things I need to work on is my ability to drive the car, because occasionally when I'm going from 5th to 6th, I go into 4th from 5th instead. So I obviously need to learn how to drive again. But I just love it, guys. Like, I honestly don't know what else to say. It's such a great car. But I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to wrap up the driving part of this video, pull over down the road and show you under the bonnet, because I remember from my last video I said I would and didn't. So let me show you what's going on under the bonnet, and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so let's have a look under the bonnet. Sometimes this can be a little temperamental, bonnet will get stuck and then not open, but I think we could be in luck today. So here is the 1.8 20 valve turbo. Now you can see that some of the pipe work has already been changed to forge. I think we've got a turbo elbow up the back there. We also have a carbon dynamic air box, which is a BMC filter system. Trying to navigate BMC's website to get a replacement filter when you're a noob to all of this stuff, it's a bit of an art form. I haven't yet managed to figure out which filter I need to replace on the car. I would imagine that this cable management system was to make way for that. There is a new battery under there. But yeah, I mean, it looks a little old under here. I need to clean this up because it's really, really dirty. It's really grimy. Got some engine mount stuff going on up the back there, which again could do with a bit of a clean up, but it's not too bad under here. And that is going to be today's video. Hopefully it made some sense. To summarize, this is a great car and I'm so pleased to have it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the car if you haven't on my previous video, and remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Also, if you'd like to keep up to date with the project, it might be worth subscribing. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. I'm always open to feedback. But until the next video, guys, peace.